Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Leadership Void Podcast. I'm Enrique with my co host, Vince, to bring you the best in our veteran military spouse and first responder community. And Vince will introduce today's guest.
Oh, we're coming in hot. It is June already, folks. Guess what? Lacy Gunnoe. He is here. He's the Director of Wellbeing of Veterans Program at Camp Southern Grounds in Fayetteville, Georgia. Lacy, welcome to the show. Let's start off the program. Tell us a little bit about you.
First of all, thank you both for having me here. I'm excited to be here. Summer is coming hot, especially down here in the South on this Camp Southern Ground 400-acre campus. And we have all kinds of kids coming in from all over the world for our summer camps. But as a director of well-being, I focus on the veteran side of the house. 23-year veteran, just retiring this spring. Blessed and grateful to be in the Air Force for all of those years. Getting to serve as a pilot, did an ROTC stint where I was able to go and shape and sharpen the leaders of tomorrow, and finish up back in my guard unit as Inspector General. Love that opportunity, and then of course being blessed to transition myself and be here in this space at Camp Southern Ground. So that's a little bit about me. The best part, I'm married to my wife Kay. We got a year and a half old. And they're not dealing with me deployed all the time or on the road all the time as a pilot. I'm here, and I'm in a great space to be able to focus on family and focus on what matters and my own well-being as we serve those in our care. So happy to be here, and that's a little bit about me.
We are glad to have you and thankful for your service as we come off of the Memorial Day weekend, as we honored all those that have fallen. Our hearts and prayers to the families that are going through that currently and have gone through that in the past. But thank you for your service as a pilot in the Air Force. I know Vince is plumb happy on the other side as we seldom get Air Force come through, but we're happy to have you. And I wanted to ask this transition. We all have to go through it one way or another. You have found your way into Camp Southern Ground. So tell us about Camp Southern Ground and your role there.
Yeah, so I found my way to camp while I was still active duty teaching ROTC. I would take leave and come over. Some of my friends were at the camp starting this thing up called Warrior Week, which is a transition program in its own, which is very convenient because whenever I transitioned, this is where I came over to. And Warrior Week is it focuses on post 9/11 veterans that are going to go back into this workforce. And now they're starting this new career. They may use some of the transferable skills. They may not know what that is. And as they go into this new environment, we want to make sure they put that ladder against the right wall because we don't want them to regret. We want them to climb the right wall. So when you get there, it's like where you want to be. It's against the right wall. And we do that by using Gallup's strengths. We have facilitators that focus on strengths. We use Enneagram, which is a personality test. But it's not just like Myers-Briggs, DISC, Four Lens, those, all those. We use it to find a deeper sense of self and find deeper relationships. So the better you know yourself, you know others. And that's how I found myself here, was looking at those that are making a difference in the space. The friends that I had, the relationships I had, I saw what they were doing with Warrior Week, helping people find their strengths, know themselves, know others. We do skills activations to make sure that those surface behaviors come up. We can identify them and get better and make better choices. Of course, it's founded by Zach Brown from the Zach Brown Band. So we do some songwriting because a lot of people, they won't share their story, but they'll write a song about it that's funny or meaningful or inspiring and share it with the world. And I wanted to be a part of that. I wanted to come and serve, lead, and inspire others to live their best life and to continue to serve those that serve. And this was the space to do that. So as a director of well-being, I have my hand in Warrior Week. I'm very blessed to be able to help out with some of the shape of Warrior Family Weekend. And this is where we bring families in on a Friday to leave on a Sunday. And it's not just to mitigate the divorce rate on active duty, but it's to allow families to not wash the dishes. And for the family that's been told no, and the mission that's been told yes for years, sometimes 23 years, like my buddy Neil in this past spring, and to tell the family, yes, you want to go do this, and even let the kids kind of pick some of the activities for the day, and to allow the soldiers and the airmen to play, to just play. You're no longer doing that job and disconnect. And it sounds very simple, but it's a very hard task to do, to set that pack down and pick up the family that's been left behind so often. It's a beautiful thing. They leave with a core values plaque and crest that they build together, and that's a beautiful thing. So that's one of the programs we have there too that I'm able to help out with just a little bit. Now, as a director of well-being, I'm not affiliated with summer camp, but we have 8 weeks that starts next week, where we have, over each week, there's 100 kids, 30% of which are non-typically developed neurodiverse children. That's all included in that 100, with some of the best camp counselors from around the world. And they're going to leave camp totally different, ready to go and profoundly change the world by magnifying their own gifts and the skills and the concepts they've learned and find at camp. Now, some of those are underprivileged children as well. There's different diverse groups that we try to include, and some of them are Gold Star, Blue Star, White Star families, and active duty families. So what a beautiful thing to get all these kids together, learn these skills, and go out and change the world. And so that happens at summer camp. And then one of the last programs that I have to mention is Warrior Path. We're one of the 11 sites through Boulder Crest that hosts the PATH program, based off the Struggle Well curriculum, which is outstanding. We think that Warrior Week is really transforming and changing lives. Warrior Path is the program that is saving lives. It's focusing on PTS and changing it to PTG, which is post-traumatic growth. That all those struggles, all those things that happen can actually build the resilience and strength to be able to go and live a better life for it. And we're seeing a lot of change happen there, and a lot of progress and a lot of growth, which is what we're all about. So those are our programs. And again, I love Warrior Week. It is kind of where I live, and helping people get well so they can be well and do well in the world and help others.
Lacy, definitely growth and building that community is so important and instrumental for their growth and for the community's growth as well. So great things you're all doing out there. So Lacy, what do you do, or Camp Southern Ground does, to give back to the community?
So one of the things that I think we do really well for the community, and we've just recently started, is opening our gates. I've described Camp Southern Ground like we are a Ferrari in the barn, guys. Like, once people get to the campus, they see how beautiful it is. They start to naturally set things down so they can pick the things up that they want in their life. The grass is curated, the facilities are state of the art. Like, when Zach built this, he had a vision for 100 years plus. Like, who puts zinc on the outside of the building? I mean, it is an amazing place to be. So whenever we have programs, we have the gates locked. We protect children. We protect the space for these veterans to feel safe. So for the community, what we've done recently is open the gates. We open the gates for community yoga. We call it warrior yoga, but it's for everyone because we're all warriors in our own way. But to allow people to come in for a free event that teaches mindfulness, wellness, and people always tell me, they would say, "Hey, Vince, I don't want to do yoga because I'm not flexible." Well, the thing about yoga, or some of the practices we teach, is if you can hold a pose and breathe through that, you might be able to breathe through Atlanta traffic, right? So there's things and lessons that we try to teach through different events or activations like yoga to help people understand. And that's something that we're doing for the community. And then next month on June 29th, we have our annual Ruck and Barbecue. We raise a little bit of money, but it's really just to get people in to showcase our veteran programs. And everyone's going to have a challenge by choice. Vince may want like 60 pounds. Enrique, you may want 80 pounds on a pack. And we're going to do a 5K together, and it's going to be a ruck, but it's really a community building event to create awareness for our warrior programs and what's in the back, about 7 miles from here in Fayetteville, and what's available to our veterans across the world. So we give back in the community in a lot of different ways. I will say that our team is very unique and specialized. We have a PhD that is from Berkeley. She runs the PATH program. The director on that side, Dr. Jen Selke. She's always on a board speaking. She's on a panel board because she's one of the best that does this. So our team does a lot in the community as far as going and sharing the word, creating awareness for the transformational programs that we have, being advocates. We do a lot of outreach. But the most significant thing is we're starting to open our gates up to the public to allow people to see the things that we're doing inside the gates.
And I love that inclusiveness in terms of, hey, we did start this for the veteran, the families, and things of that nature, but there's a lot that we don't share with the civilian populace that they have questions about, and it's a great way of doing that. So kudos to you guys for doing that. Now, you mentioned some of the things you're working on coming here in next week, but what's on the horizon for Camp Southern Ground?
I love that question. The CEO, Mike Dobbs, said that the year 2024 is all about growth. And to do that, we want to scale responsibly. It's not about the numbers, it's always about the impact and influence that we have on those individuals. But inevitably, that is documented by the numbers. So we want to grow. We have a capital campaign going on now for this new project. It's going to be big and beautiful, and it's going to allow us to have a new facility or set of facilities to house more folks, to double our programming for Warrior Path for our summer programs. And it's huge. So this Warrior Village that we're going to create is going to expand our impact, because right now our only limit is classroom space and space that we can house. So this capital campaign is going to be happening over the next few years. It's going to double the impact with Warrior Path, and it's going to help out with summer camp. And by doing that and creating that space, it allows us to have potentially more Warrior Weeks throughout the year. Right now, we run 8 programs starting in the fall and in the spring. And of those 8 programs of Warrior Week, we house 20 veterans per cohort. Path, they're only at 8 right now, but we use the same lodge. And this Warrior Village, this new campaign, is going to allow them to coexist and for us to operate synchronized in different spaces, ultimately doubling our impact there. And so we're super excited about that. And then just growing the impact and whatever that looks like. One of the small programs that we don't talk about too much, it's called Warrior Song, because everything starts with Warrior at Camp Southern Ground. We're all about the Warriors. Warrior Song is a 5-day boot camp where if you are a person that has a skill with an acoustic guitar, you want to be a performing artist. We know that career well-being is a huge thing. People will mourn the loss of a job more than the loss of a family member, because it is your identity and your purpose. And if you want to be a performing artist and you have that level of skill, we have this Warrior Song program. If you're a veteran, I think we take some first responders as well. You apply, you get vetted, you come to this 5-day boot camp, you learn to write, you learn to bring emotion into the song. We have great singer-songwriters from Nashville and all over, some affiliated with Zach and the relationships we have there, to just do some powerful progress to allow them to put on a concert. And then hopefully the goal is for them to go and be shaped and sharpened so they can go and become a performing artist. So we're a song. So we're looking to scale and to develop these programs to ultimately help veterans transition well, transform their lives to be able to do what they love, or solve bigger problems in the world that they've been trained to solve, or make sure they're using their strengths, they're living fulfilling lives that ultimately serves others.
Definitely, Lacy. Everything you said, I'm really like, wow, this is amazing stuff. The future is bright. The village seems like it's not only for the veteran community, but also for first responder. I also heard that. So kudos to Camp Southern Ground and the vision, the strategic vision to grow and have a positive impact in the community for each individual. So let's transition somewhat now. Been in the Air Force, been a pilot. What do you currently do to sharpen your skill set to aid you to thrive in your professional life?
Yeah, so none of us have made it. And whenever you get into this space, it's like peeling an onion backward. When you start to look at career well-being, physical well-being, you have community, your social circles. Um, Diving into the curriculum that we teach has really made me realize that we have to practice that. So I'm diving deeper. I'm reading all the curriculum, all the books that I can. Right now, I'm finishing up Struggle Well, which is where they base a lot of the curriculum out of Warrior Path on. So anything I can read in the space is where I'm focusing as far as my development. Eventually, I'll get back into some academic stuff, but right now, I'm just trying to be the best version of myself in those areas. Now, the other thing in Warrior Week that we teach that I work on myself a lot is the 5 essential areas of well-being. So career, well, I have a great career. It's aligned up with my strengths here, and I like that. I'm able to serve, lead, inspire, not just during those cohorts, but I work on that myself. When it comes to a social circle, I just moved to a new spot. So I just signed up for some different groups to make sure I have, friends that I'm around to make sure that area is covered. In the past, I've done the marathons, I've done bodybuilding. So I'm coming up with a new reset, because when you have a toddler, you're already doing cardio. He's 18 months old. He's running around. I got to keep up with him, think ahead. So I got my cardio cut out for me. But of course, I have these physical fitness goals that I'm updating. And just like you guys, all those key areas, financial, well-being. We have a great guy, Brian Schutz, that comes in and teaches at Warrior Week. He offers his services for free. Anything from estate planning to getting a basic budget, or ultimately we've had people that are going through a divorce that needs help. Brian's always there. So I went to him and making sure that those things are in order and I'm growing in those areas. So while I would love to say I'm doing this big educational push, I'm really focusing on myself. So when I'm in front of those cohorts, I can look at them with integrity to let them know I'm working on the same things we all are. I'm still in transition and finishing up that myself. I recognize the struggle. These are the things I'm doing well. These are things I'm working on, and I want to be able to make sure that I'm touching on all those areas to offer the best of me possible. And it's challenging to do that. So I'm focusing on those areas, and that's what I'm currently focusing on to develop myself.
Well, they say if you want to cut, you have to have a sharp knife, and it starts at the knife, right? So good for
That's right.
you to focus on you. We always encourage leaders to hone their own skills and their own life before they try to tell somebody else how to do it. But it seems
That's
you're
right.
doing that, so good on you, and we encourage you to continue that path, especially with an 18-month old, because you're gonna need it. And talking
That's
about
right.
needing some things for a youngin, there are a lot of people that are just starting out. They're trying to make their way into leadership and things of that nature. So, what advice did you receive that you would like to pass on to an emerging leader today?
That's a great question. And it really depends on them. The older I get and the more I understand about leadership and the influence that I have is the more I know I need to listen. So I'd want to listen to them. I would want to understand what kind of problems they want to solve in this world to make sure that they're on the right track. I would want to make sure that they know their strengths, they know what they're good at, they know their personality, they know the environment that they want to operate in. Some people like to work with a large team, some people like to be the solo entrepreneur. And I would encourage them to figure out the problem that they want to solve, dial that in, find people that have solved it in different ways or pursuing it, and figure out how they can do that uniquely their own way. Because two people can play the same song and it can feel different. And I think we all have a problem that we want to solve in this world. And for an integrity check, I would make sure that whatever that problem is that they're solving, that they're focused on the impact. They're focusing on the influence in the space to make that impact strong and deep, and not focused on the income. Because at the end of the day, fulfillment's going to be is going to come from the impact you have on others. And the famous Jim Carrey said that the impact on others is the best currency we will ever possess, and I believe that. So, figure out the problem you want to solve, learn from the experience of others, solve it your own way. That you've been uniquely designed to do that, and yeah, and make sure you're using your strengths and just get after it. But I think it all starts with listening. I think that's the biggest thing I said I still struggle with. And but yeah, that's what I would tell that emerging leader. Figure out that problem you want to solve and use all your skills and your might to go crush it.
No, definitely to go crush it. You need to listen with these two, right? Versus that one, right? So we definitely
I
heard that.
I'm still learning that one. Yeah.
we it's an art to especially empathic and active listening because that's I think highly effective people. Number five is listening. So it's very important to do so. Hearing that said, now how about a memorable leadership aha moment, Lacy, that you've had that you'd like to share with our audience as well?
I've been so blessed and I'm so grateful to be in environments where I've taught young pilots, went back as instructor pilot, and see the lights come on in the airplane, and these young students that had just accomplished so much. I've been in the environment of ROTC where I saw a kid lose 100 pounds in 6 or 7 months to become an officer. And I was like, man, you could be a pilot. He's like, no, I want to be security forces. And he's doing a great job at that. And there's so many inspiring stories out there. But what I would like to say as far as an aha moment has a principle with it, which is you never know who's listening and you never know who you can impact on a daily basis. I was sitting in an alert shack. I was, on alert to go fly. I flew KC-135s back in the day, so refuel the fight or pass gas around the world, however you want to look at it. we're setting on alert. I'm around all these great people that work on the airplane that fly beside me. And one of the crew chiefs was just listening to me talk, conversation, ask me what I was writing. That turned into a relationship that I mentored him for a year. That turned into me challenging him to read books. I ended up hiring him in the inspector general office to work with me for a little bit to help me organize some things. That turned into him being involved in my wedding, me watching him live his life. He's come to Camp Southern Ground, and I've been a part of the program there. And there was some of the things that they had going on in their marriage that was, a beautiful challenge they had. And then I'll never forget sitting in my white Silverado and him calling me and him holding this little thing up, a little picture of this little one that's on the way. And knowing him for 3 years, I sat there and I'm not afraid to say, like, I couldn't hold it together. I was so proud and honored to be a part of that. And it all comes from just, you just never know who you're influencing, who you're going to be around, that you may have not the power, but just a little bit of influence to offer them to not just change their life, but your life gets changed in the process. And that's really the leadership part. If you're just influencing someone for personal gain or to accomplish an objective, I really feel like that's more manipulation. But whenever you're influencing them where everyone gets better, the mission gets accomplished and we're all better, that's what I live for. That's what I want. And that little aha moment, like, it just happened like this past spring. And then his wife attended Warrior Week as well. It's life changing for me. It's life hopefully giving for them. But that was an aha moment in leadership and influence and relationships that it just blew me away. It's more than aha. It's like, oh my goodness. So it was beautiful.
Yeah, and there's no money that can replace that feeling of true impact, right? That you can actually visibly see not only that relationship turn a person into a better person in their own, but affect and trickle down through their family. It's always a great thing and a heartwarming thing to see. So good on you for that too.
Well, and
What?
that's what you want for everybody. We all have transferable skills, but we also have that purpose that gets repurposed after the military. And my goal in my heart is for these veterans that are in transition, no matter how much you're struggling or how much you think you're winning, is to go back to a new environment or wherever you move because your purpose does not have a zip code, and show up and not just be a thermometer that reflects the temperature there, but be that thermostat that gives that community the leadership that they need so you can help change that and be a part of that aha moment like I just had. Like, what if there's a community full of that because we're intentional about using our purpose for that? So, and yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely. No thermometers, thermostats, folks, thermostats. And you spoke briefly there about transition, and we all know we've had that. Us three have had that to go through, and it is definitely without any doubt time of change and challenges. So, what are your certain strategies that you use with yourself or your teams there at Southern Ground when it comes to change and challenges?
Well, change is inevitable, and whether it's team members, going on to different opportunities, there's a lot of turbulence there. So trying to get clear on the expectations, roles, responsibilities. But one of the things that I've realized in the past year is making sure that we're well ourselves, making sure that we're practicing what we preach. That for me, it's making sure that I'm listening and I'm really understanding the issues. Coming from the pilot world, everything doesn't have to have a checklist. People are humans, like where we can't just be robotic and everything doesn't have to be written out like it does. Because in the inspector general world, everything is written out very clearly. You know how to succeed. And so that's been my challenge is learning like what does success look like and moving at the speed of team with uncertainty. Luckily, I have a great team. They've been there a little bit longer than me. They understand that we're a strengths-based organization from Gallup. So we try to use our strengths to the max extent possible. That is a strategy that we use, and annually the performance reviews we do. It focuses on your strengths. How are you using them? How can you use them more? Because when you use your strengths more, you're more fulfilled. And inevitably, your job may not use all your strengths. So we have those conversations too and acknowledge those as well. But it's really just making sure that we're equipped. And in the nonprofit world, people, they operate with their hearts so much that it's the big emotional toll that takes on our team. So I'm still learning, like, how do we take care of our team? How do we, if we want to grow and scale, how do we do that responsibly? And some of the tools is using strengths, having conversations, and making sure that we're always growing and that we can be our best self when it comes to being able to serve those that need us at our best. So we're continuing to grow. We use the Gallup, and we all have our different ways of recouping, recharging, and getting to know how that team does that is good too. So that's some of the things that we're using.
Lacy, first, they're very lucky to have you at Camp Southern Ground. I hear your authenticity, your curiosity. It's really. I also wrote down living at the speed of teams. That was pretty profound as well. So, thank you for sharing. For folks listening in, how did they contact you, Lacy, or Camp Southern Ground?
Yeah, I want to make sure that the speed of trust is where I got that from. And it's a Stephen Covey book. So that is not mine. And they talk about moving at the speed of team. And it's from the book Speed of Trust. Speaking of trust, when people reach out to us, we want to make sure that they don't get lost in the system. You can find us at campsouthernground.org. When you go there, you'll see summer camp, veteran programs. For the veterans out there, I know we have a great thing and we're excited to hear from you. If you just click on veteran programs, you'll see all of our veteran programs. I would love to have you at Warrior Week. You just click that request for an application. That gets the ball rolling. And again, we're big on trust. We'll make sure that we respond. 48 to 72 hours is our standard because there are weekends in life. And that's where we'll get the ball rolling. Warrior Family Camp is on there for you and your family. We're always wanting to do more for spouses. This is our way of doing that right now. So we love that. And summer camp is almost full, but there's always next year for that. And Warrior Song, you just have to email me and let me know that you're interested in that. But if you go to campsouthernground.org, that's our hub, and we'll get connected from there. And my name is Lacy, Lacy, at campsouthernground.org. That's my personal email. Reach out there, and I'd love to hear from you, and we'll get you connected.
Outstanding. And folks, we'll have that as part of the video and show notes for you to get a hold of Lacy or Camp Southern Ground to take advantage of all those great programs that have been mentioned. Now, if you want to get a hold of the Leadership Void podcast, the Leadership Void at gmail.com is where you'll send that correspondence. If you'd like to see a specific speaker or guest or a leadership topic covered, you'll do it by those means.
Amen. And as I mentioned at the beginning, coming in hot, month of June at Camp Southern Ground. So grateful for this opportunity. And for our sponsors, Triple Nickel, a hero for kids in FAVOB. Today's all about Lacy and Camp Southern Ground. Good luck in the future and much success.
Vince, Enrique, thank you guys so much for having me. Appreciate you guys and what you do here.